The 90s. The era where color for set designs and canned laughter dominated the television screen in the treatment of sitcoms, depicting domestic urban life in the United States. A monumental icon of the 90s, of course, is the TV sitcom Friends, a comedy show featuring a group of friends: Rachel, Monica, Joey, Chandler, and the Ross. It is almost needless to state the sitcom's plot, and it is safe to assume that majority of the people watching this video already know what Friends is about. But to give a refresher, Rachel, a runaway bride, reunites with Monica, her childhood friend, and meets the other friends in the process. Today, we will talk about Ross, Monica's brother, a paleontologist, and Rachel's main romantic interest throughout the series. After the 90s ended and the canned laughter used by TV sitcoms had expired, when the advent of video-on-demand platforms like Netflix has dawned, people gained an opportunity to watch Friends again and saw it from a totally new perspective, especially when humor has been under the scrutiny of political correctness from the start of the 21st century. And what people had found about Friends, especially about Ross Geller, is how he is a manipulative, lying sad boy simp. There are tons of clips on YouTube that highlight Ross's problem handling his anger, masculinity, and how he treats women. However, you won't have to watch the whole 10 seasons of Friends to fully understand why Ross Geller has become one of the most hated figures in television history. One significant episode that supports this idea is the 16th episode of the 3rd season, the one the morning after. As the episode's title indicates, the one the morning after is about the day after Ross hooked up with Chloe, a girl he met at a bar on the night Rachel took a break from him. This episode was controversial among Friends fans, primarily because of Ross's excuse when caught by Rachel.
She meant nothing to me.
The validity of Ross's excuse has been a debatable subject even now, especially when a lot of people could sympathize or even relate to his sentiment. But I'm getting ahead of myself, and we'll discuss more of that later. Early in the episode, Ross was immediately conflicted upon learning through a voice message that Rachel was sorry for wanting to take time off their relationship.
Sorry I put you through it, and I don't want to get back together over a machine. I love you.
I love you.
He also feels awful from being apart from Rachel. He acknowledges the pettiness of their situation, but his reaction changes suddenly upon realizing what he had done. The problem immediately shifts from getting back to Rachel to preventing her from finding out about Chloe.
Good luck with your girlfriend.
Oh, thank you.
Yet, later on, we see Ross opening up to Joey and Chandler, saying that he cannot keep such a secret, especially when he wants to rebuild their relationship.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we figured when we couldn't find you, you'd gone home to make up with Rachel.
But if Ross is genuinely all about being honest, why he'd keep Chloe out of Rachel's sight in the first place?
Rachel!
There are two possible reasons to read Ross's actions. First, if we will go easy on him, he may only realize in hindsight the actual gravity of what he has done. That's why he's seeking advice from his friends. But we must remember, Chandler and Joey have also cheated before. So how can we believe that Ross is looking for solid advice about honesty? It is also possible that Ross simply seeks external validation for the wrong he has done. That's why, when Joey brought up the concept of a trail—
What trail?
The trail from the woman you did it with.
Ross had traced Chloe's trail without even thinking twice. Doesn't it reveal how backward friends are expected to behave in the 90s? Ross was supposed to tell the truth to Rachel. It seems that he's going to do it, but Chandler thought of it as a dumb thing to do.
What is she gonna say when I tell her what I did?
How dumb are you?
Joey proceeded to add fuel to the fire, and which convinced Ross to lie even more.
I'm on board about the total honesty thing, I am. Just not about stuff that's gonna get you in trouble.
Take a step back and notice how tactically the canned laughter is placed. Is the joke about how the way they said it? Or is it conditioning the audience to be dismissive on the topic of cheating? Of course, Friends is a product of its time. But that doesn't exempt it for its problematic views. In fact, it is a marker of how our society progressed. Believe that in a more contemporary setting, Chandler and Joey would have held Ross accountable. They would have encouraged Ross to speak the truth to Rachel and remind him that no matter what happens, he's still got friends. Because what truly matters isn't how Ross and Rachel will rebuild their relationship, but how would Ross own up to his mistake? And now, to talk about the controversial "we're on a break" excuse.
I didn't think there was a relationship to jeopardize. I thought we were broken up.
We were on a break.
Sure, that seems valid. Taking time off from your partner could indeed be permanent. However, isn't it simply too soon, Ross Geller? Hours after Rachel declared that she wants to take a break, not totally break up, Ross immediately hooked up. Of course, while falsely assuming that Mark hooked up with Rachel as well. But that does not justify it. Ross tries to invalidate his mistake by telling Rachel that there wasn't a relationship to be destroyed in the first place, since they were on a break. He explicitly gaslights Rachel and invalidates her feelings of hurt and betrayal. But then, when Rachel runs a hypothetical with similar logic to Ross's, this is what happens.
But say I had slept with Mark. Would you have been able to forgive me?
Yes, I would.
This scene is just great. Chef's kiss. Rachel effectively described what goes through her mind. The feeling tries to invalidate. It also confirms that Ross's excuses only work if he has the advantage from it. And now, we aren't laughing at how these men plan to get away with cheating. We're laughing at how pathetic Ross is. And it's just great. Ultimately, this episode has shown what Ross would do when he doesn't get what he wants.
Look, Rachel, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. I was out of my mind. I thought I'd lost you. I didn't know what to do. I don't cheat.
He tries to elicit pity and compares himself to others. What he has done may not strictly be considered cheating, but not cheating doesn't make you a hero. It's just the bare minimum.
You know what? I'm not the one that wanted that break, okay? You're the one that bailed on us.
He tries to act tough and gaslights Rachel further.
That's what?
That is neither here nor there.
Okay, well, here we are. Now we're in a tough spot again, Rach. What do you want to do?
He attempts to be aggressive and then resorts back to self-pity. These are textbook tactics of what you call a sad boy. He thinks that he's better than others, while simultaneously bringing himself down to gain sympathy and possibly forgiveness. He invents rules that weren't explicitly discussed. He makes invisible contracts in his mind. It was disgustingly shown when he attempted to hook up with his cousin. Gross. That is why Ross Geller is considered as a gross fella. But should we inherently hate Friends because of this? I think not. Friends did not encourage us to love people like Ross. Although he gets Rachel in the end, instead it showed us how worse other people could be. We should not trust these people and shouldn't turn out to become like them. Well, that's all we could chip in for the flick we discussed today. If you love this video, don't forget to click like and consider subscribing to our channel. We hope you enjoyed your bag of chips as we discuss your favorite flick here in Flicks and Chips.